Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then Providence moves too. All sorts of things begin to occur which would never otherwise have occurred, and a whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. In the words of Yoda, the great Jedi Master, do or do not. There is no try. Key 4. Use momentous moments. Certain moments in life contain momentum and power. The key is to harness these moments for goal setting. Things with starts and finishes or beginnings and ends carry momentum. For example, a new year represents a start. Breaking up, on the other hand, represents an end. I remember how sick I felt after breaking up with my girlfriend after 2 years of dating. But I also remember the excitement of realizing that now I could meet cool new girls. The following is a list of moments that can provide momentum for you as you set out to make new goals. A new school year, a life-changing experience, breaking up, a new job, a new relationship, a second chance, birth, death, an anniversary, a triumph, a setback, an invention, moving to a new city, a new season, graduation, marriage, divorce, a new home, a new hairstyle, a new day. Often, tough experiences can carry momentum. Are you familiar with the myth of the phoenix bird? After every lifespan of 500 to 600 years, the beautiful phoenix would burn itself at the stake. Out of the ashes, it would later arise reborn. In like manner, we can regenerate ourselves out of the ashes of bad experiences. Setbacks and tragedies can often serve as a springboard for change. They motivate you and make you stronger. Learn to harness the power of key moments to set goals and make commitments when you are in the mood to do it. Be assured as well that the mood to do it will pass. Sticking with it when you don't feel like it is the true test of your character. As someone once put it, character is the discipline to follow through with resolutions long after the spirit in which they were made has passed. Key 5. Rope up. My brother-in-law, the mountain climber, once escorted me and a friend up the 13,776-foot Grand Teton. It was terrifying. As we ascended, the mountain turned to vertical. At that point, we roped up, or tied ourselves together with ropes to aid us in climbing and to save our lives if one of us fell. On 2 occasions, that rope kept me from taking 1,000-foot falls to my death. Believe me, I loved that rope as I've never loved a rope before. By assisting each other and relying on the ropes, we finally reached the summit safely. You'll accomplish much more in life if you'll rope up and borrow strength from others. Let's suppose you set a goal to get in great shape. Now think, how would you rope up? Well, maybe you could find a friend who has the same sized goal as you, and the two of you could work out together and be each other's cheerleaders. Or maybe you could tell your parents about your goal and get their support. Or maybe you could join an online community with others who are trying to get into shape. Get creative. Rope up with friends, brothers, sisters, boy or girlfriends, parents, counselors, grandparents, pastors, or whomever else you can trust. The more ropes you have out, the greater your chances for success. Goals in action. When I was a sophomore in high school, I weighed 180 pounds. My brother David, a freshman, weighed a whopping 95 pounds. We were only 1 year apart, yet I was twice his size. But David had a mountain of a spirit and did incredible things to get to where he wanted to go. This is his story. I will never forget when I tried out for the freshman football team at Provo High. At 5 feet 2 inches and weighing only 90 pounds, I was even smaller than the stereotypical 98-pound weakling. I couldn't find any football equipment to fit me. It was all too big. I was issued the smallest helmet they had, but still had to tape 3 ear pads together on each side of it to make it fit my head. I looked like a mosquito with a balloon on its head. I used to dread football practice. especially when we had to crack heads with the sophomores. We used to line up facing each other about 10 yards apart, with the freshmen on one side and the sophomores on the opposite side. When coach blew the whistle, you were supposed to hit your opponent until the whistle blew again. I used to count the players in my line to see when my turn would come up, and then count the players in the sophomore line to see who would have the privilege of teaching me how to fly. It seemed that I always ended up getting the biggest, meanest sophomore as my opponent. I'm dead meat, was my constant thought. I would line up, wait for the whistle, and in a moment find myself flying backwards and upwards through the air. That winter, I tried out for the wrestling team. I wrestled in the 98-pound division. Even though I weighed in with all my clothes on after eating a big meal, I still couldn't tip the scales at 98 pounds. In fact, I was the only guy on the team who didn't have to lose weight to wrestle. My brothers thought I would be a good wrestler because, unlike football, wrestling allowed me to compete with guys about my own weight. But to make a long story short, I got pinned almost every match. In the spring, I tried out for track, but as luck would have it, I was one of the slowest guys on the team. Little wonder, you should have seen my pencil-thin legs. One day after track workouts, I just couldn't stand it anymore. That's it, I said to myself. I am sick of this. That night, in the privacy of my room, I wrote down some goals I wanted to achieve during high school. To be successful in my athletics, I knew I had to get bigger and stronger, so I set goals in these areas first. By my senior year, I set a goal to be 6 feet tall, to weigh 180 pounds, and to bench press 250 pounds. In football, I set a goal to be the starting wide receiver on the varsity football team. And in track, I set a goal to be an all-state sprinter. I also envisioned myself being captain on both the football team and the track team. A lot of nice dreams, wouldn't you say? At that moment, however, I was staring reality in the face. All 90 pounds of it. But I stuck with my plan from my freshman year until my senior year. Let me illustrate. As part of my weight gaining process, I made a rule that my stomach would never be empty, so I ate constantly. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner were merely 3 meals in an 8-meal day. I made a secret agreement with Carey, the starting varsity linebacker at Provo High, who stood 6 foot 3 inches tall and weighed 235 pounds. He promised me that if I helped him with his Algebra 2 homework, he would allow me to eat lunch with him every day for weight gain and protection purposes. I was determined to eat the same amount he ate, so each day at lunch I bought 2 lunches, 3 milks, and 4 rolls. We must have been a hilarious sight together. I was also taking my gain weight fast protein powder along with my lunch. I would mix the sickening powder in each of my milks and nearly barfed each time I drank it. During my sophomore year, I began working out with my good friend Eddie, who was also yearning to get big. He added another requirement to my food list: 10 full teaspoons of straight peanut butter and 3 glasses of milk each night before bed. Each week we were required to gain 2 pounds. If we didn't, quote, make weight, unquote, on the official weigh-in day, we were required to eat or drink water until we did. My mom read an article that said if a young kid slept 10 hours a night in a completely dark room and drank 2 to 3 extra glasses of milk a day, he could grow 1 to 2 inches more than he normally would. I believed this and followed it rigidly. After all, I needed to reach my goal of 6 feet, and my dad's height of 5 foot 10 inches wasn't going to help me. Dad, I said, I want the darkest room in the house. I got it. Then I put towels under the door crack and over the window. No light was going to shine on me. Next, I set a sleeping timetable. I went to bed around 8:45 p.m. and got up at 7:15 a.m. This ensured me 10.5 hours of sleep. Finally, I drank all of the milk I could. I also began lifting weights, running, and catching the football. Each day I would work out at least 2 hours. When Eddie and I lifted at the weight room, we would check out the XL shirts in hopes that one day we would fill them. At first, I could only bench press 75 pounds, slightly more than the bar. As the months passed, I began to see results. Small results, slow results, but results. By the time I was a sophomore, I was 5 feet 5 inches and about 120 pounds. I had grown 3 inches and gained 30 pounds, and I was much stronger. Some days I felt like a lone man against the whole world. I especially hated it when people would ask me, "How come you're so skinny? Why don't you just eat more?" I felt like saying back, "You idiot, Do you have any idea of the price I've been paying? By my junior year, I was 5 feet 8 inches and 145 pounds. I continued with my weight gain program, the running, the lifting, and the skill development. In my track workouts, I made it a goal never to loaf, not even for one sprint, and I never missed a practice, even when I was sick. Then suddenly the sacrifice really started paying off. I got real big real fast. In fact, I grew so fast that I have stretch marks across my chest, as if I was mauled by a bear. As I approached my senior year at Provo High, I had reached my goal of becoming 6 feet tall and fell only 5 pounds short of my goal of 180 pounds. I became a starting wide receiver on the varsity football team and was also elected as a team captain. My senior year in track was even more rewarding. Again, I was selected as team captain, became the fastest sprinter on the team and one of the fastest sprinters in the state. At the end of the year, weighing 180 pounds and bench pressing 255 pounds, I was awarded Best Body by the senior girls of the high school, the award that I loved most of all. I did it. I really did it. I accomplished most of the goals I had set that night in my room years ago. Truly, as Napoleon Hill wrote, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, the hand of man can achieve. Turning weaknesses into strength. Notice how David used the 5 keys to goal setting. He counted the cost, he wrote them, he roped up with his friends, he set his goals during a momentous moment when he was sick of being a shrimp, sorry little bro, and he had the raw tenacity to just do it. Now, I'm not endorsing being body-centered as David was for a period, and I can't promise you that you could will your way into growing taller no matter how much milk you drink. I'm only trying to demonstrate the power that goals can play in your life. As David told me his story, it became clear that being a 90-pound wimp might have been a blessing in disguise. His apparent weakness, his skinny body, actually became his strength, forced him to develop discipline and perseverance. People who lack the native physical, social, or mental gifts they desire must fight just that much harder, and that uphill battle can produce qualities and strengths they couldn't develop any other way. That is how a weakness can become a strength. So if you're not endowed with all the beauty, biceps, bucks, or brains that you covet, congratulations. You just may have the better deal. This poem by Douglas Malloch says it well. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees.